on top of the LinkedIn group that you are very welcome to join. We also have an expertise portal on the Women in Cycling website. And we encourage you to become part of this expertise portal as well, because it is a great way to show yourself as available for events, and event organizers are encouraged to check this portal when looking for people to invite to conferences. And this way it means there is no more excuses for all male panels, because we have a lot of women with expertise in many different topics related to cycling. So I think that's it for me. We are now at 74 participants in this event, and it keeps growing. And we imagine that you are coming from many different countries. If we look at the LinkedIn group, it's generally the case. So we would like you to kick off this webinar to fill in the little poll that just appeared on your screen. And this would be very nice for us all to see where you come from, but also what sector of cycling you are involved in, because we really represent the whole cycling sector. And also to get some information from you on what you are interested in, because this event is the first one of a series of events that we really want to continue in 2023, but we need to see who we should invite and who we should interview. So without further ado, I am going to give the floor to Michelle and Katya, and I wish you all a very good webinar.
Hello, everyone. Sorry for the delay. I was waiting to be unmuted, but I did it myself. Well, it's the first event of this kind that I'm co-hosting in the online format. So sorry for any mistakes that may occur. Anyways, my name is Katya Gasenko, and I'm a part of the recruitment team of biciTALENT. Probably some of you already know us and probably even worked with us or talked. Yes, I'm an expert. Well, let's say recruitment is pretty fresh for me. In my previous experience, I was a manager and head of marketing, so it is very useful in recruitment. I apply it in my job daily. Well, basically, some time ago, I had this idea about how to bring more women into cycling, not only the cycling industry, but also cycling itself as a hobby, as a sport, etc. I had to, like, let's call it a vision. I put all my thoughts on paper, and I had a chance to introduce some of them during one of the interviews for the job just last year. I was interviewed by 2 men, well, 4 in total, because the company, the owner of several bike brands didn't have any women on leading positions. All positions were taken by men. And I was asked, why should we praise women? What is wrong with everyone today? That they invest so much money into praising women and inviting them to join cycling. So, well, I understood that my listeners, my audience was wrong. I kept my ideas, and I was really happy to join biciTALENT and become a member of CIE and Women in Cycling, where I found people who think just like me, who understand the necessity of bringing more women, of inviting and encouraging more women to join, and just not put the limits on what they can do, what they are allowed to do. So I'm really happy to have Michelle on my side, and of course the whole huge support of Women in Cycling. Today we will start with our first speaker, Luisa Grappone. She is an amazingly talented engineer. She graduated and started her career in aeronautics, and she switched to cycling. She's as well a passionate cyclist, and right now she is finishing the paperwork to become head of R&D of Crank Brothers. So she's moving from Great Britain to where she previously worked for other company. She's moving to California, and well, I think it would be best if she tells more about herself, more about her career. So please welcome Luisa Grappone.
Thank you, Katya, and thanks everyone. I'm very honored to be here as your first guest and speaker of this series of events. So thanks a lot for choosing me and for having me. Yeah, you're correct. You said I'm going to be moving to California. I'm waiting for all the paperwork, the official. We submitted all the paperwork to get the working visa from the American government. At the moment, I'm still in the UK because I was working. I've been working here for more than 5 years for Hunt Bike Wheels, a British company. And now, yeah, as soon as the visa will be issued, I will move to California to be the R&D director of Crank Brothers. I'm an aerospace engineer, as you said, and I worked in the industry, in the aerospace industry for a couple of years, actually. But soon I really realized that I was not liking my job. You know, that was not fun, at least on what I was doing at that time. For 2 years, I was repeating every day the exact same step and job every day. I was doing, I was a stress analyst, an FE analyst for the 787 Boeing project. And my main job was to analyze the joints on the main fuselage, the two panel of the main fuselage. But every day we would receive case loaded from Boeing, and we had to do same things over and over every day. So I was young and I told myself, oh God, I cannot do this for the rest of my life. So I said, okay, so I decided to, you know, to put myself available. I started to look for a job, and already long time ago, I wanted to work abroad. I wanted to leave my country, make new experiences. So I put my CV on Master UK. And in fact, I was contacted by a recruiter, a British recruiter at that time. But, you know, we were talking, you know better than me how it works. The process was long. After probably 4-6 weeks of talking, and at the end, I didn't know which company was looking for, you know, people to join the team. And only at the end, when everything was okay, and finally I passed all the steps, she told me, oh, Luisa, you know, you're lucky, the company is in Italy. And I said, okay. I told myself, well, that's not really what I wanted anyway. And, you know, it's not really in the aerospace industry, because you were an aerospace engineer, it's in the cycling industry. Honestly, that time I said, oh, what I'm going to do as an aerospace engineer in the cycling industry. You know, I was not happy with my job, but I wanted to be. But at the end, I said, well, let's try, let's go and meet these people. And at that time, the company was 3T Cycling. So I went there, I met the team of people, and they were amazing. The people there were like so open, so everything was great. And what made me switch really was that the former R&D director at 3T at that time, he was coming from Ferrari F1, the racing team. He was head of composites at the racing team in Ferrari. He was explaining me, you know, the reason why he moved, and he was telling me that actually there is not much of a difference about being an engineer in the automotive or in aerospace or in submarines or cycling industry, because everything is challenging. You need to challenge, you know, there is something that you need to do. And actually in the cycling industry, you are in a way limited by budget, because we have not the same budget of like F1, Ferrari. He was telling me stories about having to rebuild a car in 24 hours with no limited budget. So we don't have that, and we need to follow timeline. But so I said, well, why not to try? And I started to work for 3T in January 2009. So 13 years ago, almost 14 years ago. And really, I never regretted that choice. That was the best choice ever. I had opportunities. I was contacted by, you know, recruiters in the past years to go back to the aerospace industry. But yeah, I never wanted to go back, because there is much more fun in working in the cycling industry than what I was doing before, at least.
Well, that sounds really interesting. So do I understand right? You didn't really have much obstacles in getting into the industry, or am I wrong?
No, exactly. I have to say, when I started, the team at 3T, as I said, it was a very open-minded place and group of people. So I've been given the same opportunity of my male colleagues, and my R&D director. He was such a nice guy with an open mind. So that was easy for me. I soon started, you know, to work, to travel around the world, to follow teams. So at the beginning, it was not that difficult. Some challenges came probably a bit later, but at the beginning it was easy for me.
I understand. Well, did you have any uneasy situations in any next jobs? For example, when you were talking to brothers, well, of course, you already had an experience on your side, but did you had any different treatment or anything that would make you think that you are treated differently than the man in your place would be?
Well, I have few situations. Yes, for example, at the very beginning, when I was still working in the aerospace sector, I was working for an Italian company. I was there were two women, me and a secretary. I was the only engineer in a group of 60 male engineers. We were all engineers. So in Italy, you have the habit to, in a very formal way, if you address to someone, which is a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, you would say, oh, good morning, engineer, and your last name. My boss, our boss, would come into the room where I was working with other 10, 12 people. Every time he was addressing to my male colleague, they were, oh, good morning, engineer Rossi, I need this or whatever. For him, I was Miss Grappone. he never used, it was, okay, that's, I don't know if he wanted to be respectful, but for him, I was just Miss Grappone, and he never addressed to me as an engineer. And that was like, I was young, and I was like wondering why he doesn't consider me as the other guys in this room. So, or for example, when I was, that was funny sometimes what happened. When I was going to training camps with teams, at the beginning of the season, we would used to go there, mainly if they had to start riding or racing with new components. So I would go there to talk to mechanics or riders, and I would always struggle to, have them listening to me. Those mechanics were the old school guy. They were thinking they knew more than me, and it could not be possible that a young lady would tell them how to fix a seat post or how to tension a wheel, because they knew better than me. It could not be possible. So that was, and they didn't have the same behavior with other guys when they were talking about technical stuff. Again, another thing that always happened to me, I was going to shows or events, and I was doing technical presentation of things, like a new project. At the end of the presentation, every time I would get compliments on how good I was to pass technical messages to people, because people believed that I was the sales girl or the marketing girl. Nothing to do with that, but no one could think that I was the engineer behind everything. So I was confident with everything that I was telling them, because that was part of what I was working. And sometimes I was laughing, sometimes I was like, okay, well, I never really had people affecting me with their thoughts. I'm just like, but yeah, there were all these situations, and these were like nice in a way, sort of situation, funny at least. But there were also moments, where for a while I worked in the opposite of 3T, I would say, a very close minded place. There were guys, they thought they were upright because they were always done that way. They had followed that path. So every time I was trying to propose something or telling, I was always for them making wrong observation, giving wrong feedback, stupid questions, and I was always not, no way. And I could see colleagues with not education or not as clever or as good as I was, making step ahead in the company. And that was something that but even at that case, that was something really I was for a while starting to feel bad, but I never really thought that I was wrong. I only thought that I was in the wrong place. And as I said before, I really never let people affecting me, so I said, okay, this is not the place I need to be. This is not the place I need to be working any longer. And in fact, when I left that place, I started to work elsewhere. It was completely different, and soon after I had the proof that actually my ideas were probably too far ahead from that for them. And that was, everything was too different. I was different, and they didn't simply wanted to accept me. So,
well, it definitely takes a very strong character, and both men and women many times don't have that, and they give up, or they feel well, they get an imposter symptom, and they stop believing in their capabilities, actually, because of that kind of treatment. Well, this is basically why we started this project, not to say that women are better than men. We want an equal recognizing and an equal treatment, and we want to be heard, because a lot of us are very smart, smarter than most men, like in your case, because, well, you are a leader, you are a technical mind, you are an owner of several patents, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, just one actually, but yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's a huge achievement, I think. Tell me, what would you recommend from your experience in cases like this, in environment like this, how to stay sane, let's say?
Well, you know, as you said, I never really had people affecting me with their judgment. You know, I've always been myself. I never really acted like a man, because we are not men, but I had confidence, you know, and that sometimes scared people. It's not to say that I'm always been that strong, because you have moments of upside down. Sometimes you are not discouraged, but you start to really question what is going wrong here. But I never really lose confidence in myself, because I believe in my possibilities. And I know that mainly if I'm right, I can do it. You need to put efforts, and you have to do it. You can do it, and you don't have to get people trying to give to give up, because this is something that, and I know that is not easy, you know, because mainly when you are in a very man-dominated world. I don't know if, in a way, I was lucky when I was a child. You know, I've always been in man-dominated world. At university, I was 1 in 5 girls between 100 men, and then we split. After the second year, we had to choose which course to follow, and each of us followed one of the 5 courses. So I was 1 in 25. Or, you know, when I was a kid, my sister and I, we were the only 2 girls in a building of boys. So we had to play their game, to just be playing with kids. But we were strong enough to force them once a week, at least once a week, to play with dolls and Barbie. So we would have a room full of boys with dolls and Barbie, you know. But because we wanted to, you know, you need to get to compromise, but you don't have to completely accept what other people want. You don't have to change your behavior to please other people. You know, you need to be yourself. You have to believe. We have to believe in ourselves, because we can do it. We can do it. And also, you know, I never had luck in my life. The only luck I had was my family really supporting me. But, you know, sometimes you see different treatments, and you say, why? And you need to work twice to get half of, you know, the rewards. But you don't have to give up. This is what, and I guess, you know, this is just something that it happened to men as well. I'm not saying that, we don't need to be feeding that things, or we are weaker, or it only happened to us. No, it mainly happened to us. But we need to be strong. We need to be confident. We need to think that our differences are what makes us, you know, stronger or better or as good, you know, as men. And we don't have to act like men. We don't have to please people and change our behavior just to be accepted. No.
Well, this is very true, and I can definitely relate to most of the points you mentioned. In school, I was always amongst guys. I went to a technical high school, so I was one of 7 girls, etc., etc. And well, my environment was always filled with men, and I have to admit, I have only one best friend, one good friend, female. Other people are male. But it is always challenging to prove yourself in the environment. It's not like the environment is already open for you to speak up and feel equally treated. For everyone, I forgot to invite you to send us, well, Luisa, questions. We will circle back to them in the end of our meeting today. And hopefully we will have enough time for Luisa to answer all of them.
You know what I also would suggest, Katya, because as you were, what you had, your experience was similar to me. You know, I was a girl, a lot of male friends because of my childhood, you know, so those were my friends. And sometimes women are the first enemies of other women.
Sure.
You know, we do resent of our successes or our achievements. We need to support each other. I've always said, even, you know, when we were kids, you know, we start to fight because we want to get the same boys, you know, so that's something that we are used to. But no, we need to support each other, because otherwise we are already alone in the world outside. So that's important. And you know, sometimes I saw, well, I didn't have that experience, I have to say, with women in my working experience. We always been very supportive to each other. But sometimes you read stories about other women putting, you know, other women away because, oh no, she cannot go and have success, and while I'm still there. So that's something that we need to start doing more and more between women.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I myself had 2 jobs among women, and it never was a healthy environment, and we should ourselves work on that. We should change our way of thinking, and rather help people who are younger, who are less experienced, to grow, to develop. And we don't need to feel threatened because, well, there's a place for everyone. There's a space for everyone. And unless we support each other, we will not get the equal position in the society. Thank you, Luisa, very much. I would like to pass the lead to my colleague, Michelle. Michelle, please continue.
Thanks, Katya. Luisa, I'm going to give you a little break for a minute or two, Luisa, so you can just catch your breath, maybe have an espresso or something. But so yes, welcome everyone, and I'm going to indulge the Aussies just for one little moment and just say a special shout out to some of my colleagues and friends out there in the cycling sector from Australia who've already done a hard day's work, and it's sort of getting a bit close to bedtime. You know, cyclists, they like to get up early. So I'm really pleased that they can join us. So we've got Claire, who's my colleague in High Country Women's Cycling. And we've got Anna, who is just doing amazing things in cycling advocacy. Fiona, who's transforming Sydney and on a mission to make it the next Copenhagen, so watch out. And then Tina, who has probably taught most of the women in Victoria, the state of Victoria, how to ride a bike. She's joining us. And Emma, who is Australia's best bike mechanic. and she is a rare species because there's not many. So thanks, Emma, and thanks all of and a few of our male friends. I'm hoping there's Stephen Hodge from We Ride Australia, who great supporter of women in cycling, and he wants to help us organize some great webinars and conferences in Australia on this same theme. So Luisa, I know when Claire and I were told by a few people in our area and in the region, tourism people, that women don't want to ride their road bikes up mountains. They don't want to ride gravel, and they probably, you know, they think it's not safe. They probably can't do it. And we said, the hell they can't. We will show you they can, and they do want to, but, you know, we just might have to change some of that, some of the narrative, some of the imagery that you're using. You know, it's not reassuring, it's not supportive, it's not inclusive, it's not friendly, and it doesn't sound like fun if it's all about you are going to die when you halfway up this mountain, you are going to smash yourself, it's PB or go home. You know, it was just all these messages that were just like, well, that's not going to entice me to do something like that. So yeah, most of the images were sort of skinny young white men, so it really wasn't, we couldn't relate to that. So we decided that we would change that, and we would organize a fun weekend, a festival, invite women to come to our region to do a mountain for the first time on their road bike, to ride up that mountain, to descend confidently and safely, and we will support you, we will give you the skills, we will empower you, and you know what, you are going to have a fantastic time, because at the end of it, we're going to have a Lycra lunch party, we're going to have some Prosecco, we're going to have the best coffee, we're going to indulge in all the gourmet goodness, and it's going to be fun. And we use messages like it's your peak, your pace, hashtag your peak, your pace. It's not, you don't have to, you know, get a PB. It doesn't have to be the best Strava time. So anyway, we managed to get close to 160 women came and did that. And the personal achievement for so many was just amazing. They just really wanted to achieve something that their bike shop guy had said to them, oh, you're never going to do that one. That's just way too hard. So that was really the motivation for a lot of them, just to have that personal achievement. So since then, we've been doing women's cycling tours, taking women, doing challenging things for them, having a great time as well. And we're also doing gravel tours. So women do love being challenged, but they also want to be supported, and they want to have fun, and they want the camaraderie. And it's really just a reflection, I guess, of what in the bigger cycling sector, that it should be fun. Our workplace should be fun. It should be inclusive. It should be supportive. So all those things you've been saying just resonate so well, even down to that micro level of women on bikes. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to ask you, do you think, or what would you say to, if we really want to get more women in the cycling sector, one of the key areas that we have, I was saying to you before that Emma is a rare species as a bike mechanic. We really struggle to find technical people, females, who can join our cycling tours, or who can come to our events that have that technical mechanical background. It seems to be like maybe they just don't feel, they feel intimidated or disempowered, or not, there's not, you know, you can't be what you can't see. And that's why we sort of, the idea behind this whole series of showcasing and championing women in the cycling sector across all the genres of cycling. And I think particularly kicking off with you and your background is so important. So like, what would you say to women who maybe have that engineering, technical, or, you know, mechanical background, but what would be some of the things they should do if they want to? I mean, are there jobs out there for them?
Well, jobs probably, there are jobs, no one now say anymore, it's like, it's when Katya knows, when you put a job offer for an engineer, they want an engineer. So most of the time it should be that it doesn't matter if you are a man or a woman, it's what if you are good for that job. And that's why I've been always, now I am R&D director of Crown Brothers. I will be, because the message given to my colleagues that I was the best choice for that job. What we have to do is proving that we are the best choice, but this is happening to everyone, not just women, also men. Every time you are selected for something or people believe in you, you need to prove that you are good. Obviously, sometimes women could feel intimidated, but what I keep saying, you need to be confident in you and believe in you. I know that is hard, but that's the only way, because no one is giving us anything. No one is giving us a plate full of reward and say, that's for you. We need to fight. And if we step back every time we see an obstacle, or we think, oh, that's not going to happen, and even with simple things like riding a bike. I know that I was the only woman I've always ridden with men. I never had a friend, woman riding a bike with me. And sometimes I was hearing, I feel a bit shy. I don't want to put the bib shirt because I have fatty legs. The hell, you don't need to care about that, because a fatty guy doesn't mind about showing his belly on a bike. But because we always think about the stereotypes, and it doesn't need to happen. We need to be strong and confident. And but I know that sometimes we don't have the same opportunities, and it's hard, even more if you are if you have family duties. For example, what it should change in a way is the way leaders, in the industry approach to women and men. We need to be treated the same way in general, because we are similar, although we are different. The same way there are men who are more sensitive than other men, there are women who are more cynical than other women. So we need to be given same opportunities, but we need to be judged the same way in a professional environment. But then women should be given opportunities if they need to bring children to school, for example. I know women who have to wake up hours earlier just to prepare everything for their children, pay sometimes additional fee to school because they are bringing children at school before the opening time. So we need to allow women to be free to be women. So flexible hour is something, not to say, oh yeah, I'm not working. No, instead of coming to work at 8, I can go to work at 9, so I can bring my children to school, or I can go and pick them up from school. So this is something that we should change, in companies, in a leader environment. There should be more mentoring of women. I don't know why sometimes men are scared to mentor women. And and really do not fit gender stereotypes in general, because that's the only, and it's not just women, as Katya said, that we are so many of us it's not just men and women. So that should apply to every human being.
Yes, that's right. And what about with universities? Like if someone had said to you at university, Luisa, you're going to be a designer you're going to be an expert in wheels and aerodynamic design in the cycling industry, and you're going to be helping women and men in the Tour de France, whatever. If someone had said that, like, would that have ever crossed your mind as a student? Do you think now maybe it could be something that women, if they hear from you at that, and men, of course, too, at university, it might be?
Well, you know, when I was a student at university, my dream was to become an astronaut. It's not precise, it's like, it's true. I wanted to become an astronaut. And you know what? I went very close to that dream come through. Not really to become an astronaut, but at the very beginning of my, few months after I took my degree, I was selected for a job at the European Astronaut Training Center in Germany, in Cologne. So that was, for me, it was like being Alice in Wonderland. I had the possibility of spending there 2 weeks in separate moments. And the job was to become a training for astronauts when they prepare their mission. So the first selection was to prepare a lesson on the Cryosat Explorer mission for astronauts. I passed that selection. The second one, I met real astronaut. There was an American astronaut, the doctor, the astronaut who made the most of the working on the Hubble telescope. To me, that was a dream, like it was, but I was too young with no experience at that time, so it didn't happen. You know, I was 1 in 4 all around Europe for that selection, so it was already a great achievement for me. But yeah, I was too young and too without experience, and that was my dream that finished at that time. So I didn't really dream about, you know, becoming one day talking with all the world champions in the cycling, you know, in road cycling. But I never gave up in my dreams. You know, simply my dream changed at that time when I started to work in the cycling industry, and I saw, oh, this is fun, it's great. I wanted to do great things for people the same way I wanted to, you know, become an astronaut before. And, you know, at least when I was studying, we were all very strong women, all of us. It was because probably we were in a male world, so we had to be strong. We all reached, we were all able separately to achieve our goal in a way. And I guess, I know young girls, young women, when they are at school and university, they are all very strong. Sometimes we change growing up. Instead of becoming, you know, stronger, we start to not giving up, but we accept compromise. You know, as kids, as young people, we always think, oh, we are going to change the world, but most of us doesn't do that. We do compromise, accept compromise. So this is what we don't have to do. And there are opportunities out there. I know there are a lot of, like now, more and more DS, sportive director at Pro Tour level, and they are becoming, you know, people are there. And one of my dreams now was to become someone of them. You know, I was studying when I was in Italy still. I did attend the course for sport director, and again, I was the only girl in all these men. But I was, you know, I was happy. I wanted to do. You need to be. You know what is my late motive? You need to smile in your life, and mainly to work. If you go to work and you spend 8 hours not being happy, that's the most of your time, because 1/3 of your time is sleeping, 1/3 is at work, and the other 1/3 you bring home all the shit that you have at work. So if you are if you are not happy, so the moment you start not to be happy, not to smile anymore, you need to change, and you will find an alternative which will make you happy.
I can see your next project. You're going to put the first cyclist on the moon.
Well,
Or
yeah,
in
could be.
space. Yeah.
You know, there is
are.
already, they recently recruited new astronauts, and a British Paralympic athlete, I'm not sure, he's not a cyclist, he's a motorcyclist. He's going to be the next astronaut, and they are doing something just to see how the thing could work with someone with problem in like mobility, and so yeah, that could be probably we could do like indoor training in on the ISS.
Thanks, Luisa. I'm going to hand you back to Katya because we have a lot of questions that people have been sending in, and we really want to give them the opportunity to talk to you. So thank you so much. It's been an absolute privilege and pleasure. So Katya, over to you.
Thank you. Luisa, I was like, I was super surprised and super inspired of your astronaut story, because when I was a kid, till age of 7, I really wanted to become one. But afterwards, I saw a documentary about how many people died during all kinds of trials, and I decided to live longer.
You know what I was always thinking? If I die because I'm there, stupid me, I would be dying happy. That's what I was.
You know, that's really true. That's also really true. That's what I'm thinking right now. Whenever I'm in the mountains somewhere with my bike or on foot. Okay, I can see that we have lots of comments, but no questions yet. Dear participants, please feel welcome to ask. If you have any questions to Luisa, maybe to Michelle, I myself can answer if you have any. So please. We encourage you to go ahead and ask.
I've got one more. Maybe Luisa, I didn't get to, just I was worried about the time, but I didn't get to ask you, like, would you have any just couple of little tips? You've already given us women so much advice about progressing their careers and helping one another and supporting one another. For some of our men that might be participating in our webinar and who may be, you know, at the top of the game in leadership positions, is there anything else you might any advice you could give them that might, you've mentioned mentoring before, about women mentoring women and men mentoring women. Do you think it also works upwards, that we could maybe be helping men who are in leadership and decision-making positions to help them make it more opportunities for women to rise up the ladder or to enter, you know, breaking down any barriers? Is there anything that you've seen along the way that has worked really well?
Well, you know, sometimes what I've seen is most of the time, and we don't know why, men look scared by us, you know, mainly if we are a bit strong and confident. And we are not like vipers. We don't really poison anyone. So that's the thing, you know, that was part of my experience. You know, every time there were some of them who were like, oh, wow, what she thinks to be, or why, or they were scared to be, not to be making a nice appearance, while we don't think the same. You know, when, I mean, we should simply think that if someone is better or knows more than us, we should learn. We should, what I try to do every time is like to squeeze knowledge from others. So that's the thing. And you know, the way we've been used to do this, we as women, you know, because most of the time in like leadership position, we always had men, so we want to learn from them. Men should understand that we want that, or if we know more than that, they should simply not be scared and just work with us the same way they work with their male colleague. Yeah.
Yes, men often are afraid that we are too emotional.
Yeah, and, you know,
I think it comes from 50s.
yeah. Do emotions
Yeah,
or
but
aggressive? If we are very confident, we are aggressive, while our
yeah.
counterparts, men, they are confident, and that's all. No, we are not aggressive or emotion. We are what we are, and yeah.
That's true. It's like you act the same, but they get a totally different picture.
Yeah.
Because of your gender, so you are hysterical.
Yeah.
Okay,
Luisa, have you got,
please, because we have a question for you, Michelle.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. I just got stuck on the name. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong, but Hani asks Michelle, could you give us example of the event marketing messages and pictures to attract women to participate, I suppose, in cycling events?
Well, I think what worked for us was that we didn't use skinny, young, super fit women in our imagery. We would certainly include that image, but we did try to have a diversity of women and ages, because I think the fabulous thing about cycling is that it's a great leveler of all, from class, socioeconomic background, if you can afford to buy a bike, I guess, but also ages. Like we have women riding on. Last weekend we had 20 women we supported to do 3 peaks in 3 days in Victoria, and the ages range from 30, low 30s, 32 to 72. And I tell you what, it was the ones in their 60s and 70s that were probably the fittest and strongest, probably because we maybe have more time. They haven't got young kids to worry about, maybe grandkids. But women just keep getting stronger and stronger as they get older. And the bike seems to be, you know, a perfect place for them to. And how lovely for someone of that age to then be on with the same group, socializing and supporting and learning and upskilling and being empowered with someone who's nearly 40 years younger. My business partner and I, there's 20 years between us, 20 something. But, you know, we just have the passion for the bike, and it just is that connection. It doesn't matter what your age is or what your size is. The women on our tours are all sizes. You know, you can't judge someone based on their weight or what they look like, and I think it's great now that there's in Australia anyway, we have women's clothing, cycling clothing that is reflecting different diversity in sizes. And for a woman who doesn't necessarily want to wear the super tight, you know, Rafa, like extra small that jersey that shows, you know, is not forgiving, even on a small woman. They're designing now really lovely lycra and cycle clothing that just everyone, you know, can feel good in and feel confident. And let's face it, women, you know, we like to look nice too, and we, you know, we like to wear, and we're, you know, very much into bright colors and all of that. So I guess we try to, in our marketing messages, show that it's this sort of riding is achievable. It doesn't matter how long it takes you. You don't have to absolutely smash yourself to do this type of riding. You can just do it at your pace. And that's why we, you know, had a lot of hashtags that were like that: your peak, your pace, set new limits, fun, fitness, friendship, just making it fun. Like basically we organize weekends that Claire and I would enjoy. And so it's got to have a lot of fun, as well as people coming away feeling like they learned. We have bike mechanics sessions, and we have skills sessions. And for a lot of women too, we find descending is a really big issue, and they feel like, yes, I can climb up, but I'm never going to be able to come down. So to be able to achieve that can be just as important and important for your safety as being able to climb up a mountain. So just coming away feeling like you've achieved and learnt new skills is really empowering. And to be able to change your own tire is important, and clean your chain, all of those things that, you know, I had someone not that long ago say to me, move over. I can't stand watching you do that. I was just trying to get a tire off that was really tricky. Look, it's a bit of a boys thing. Well, that didn't go down too well. It just made me more determined to do it. But anyway, so yeah, that's how we try to make women feel everyone's included.
Well, it sounds perfect, because I do have lots of experiences with bike mechanics. When you come to the bike shop for the first time, they look at you, in my case, oh, there's stupid blonde coming in. We can tell her anything and she will just swallow it. And it's not the approach we're looking for, because a lot of us are getting more and more engaged, not only in riding, but also maintaining our own bikes. And men should be aware that we also can do that and can have an understanding. We not necessarily have all the tools, but we do know the basics, and we should also teach other women, let them learn, and especially in the environment that is friendly and not judging from the start.
Yeah.
Like most bike mechanics who are men would say, like, no, you're not gonna learn it, don't even try.
Yeah, I think too, in Luisa, I don't know if you can do anything about this, but who's designing tires that are just impossible to get off a bike with, you know, it's yeah, I mean, sometimes women just don't have the same strength in their hands, and yeah, that's really disempowering.
We can talk about it later. I have some tricks for it.
I have also some tips to tell you.
Okay, maybe it's another.
You need to wear your cycling shoes. You stand on the wheel, the tire, and you do with your weight, and it's in 30 seconds. You do that. Probably some of the girls mechanics, they know already that, but yeah. And just cycling shoes, not normal shoes, because they need to be a bit harder. So you can just, with your weight, do the click on the tire and to remove it. Yeah.
Okay, maybe you could make us a TikTok.
Yeah, well, I could.
Okay, we have another question from Francesca Potti. Luisa, I guess that when you started your studies, you knew that there were only less than 10% of girls engineers. Why you choose it, and how do you overcome challenges at your very early time? Confidence is something you gain over time. Thank you.
Well, yeah, it's true that you get confidence with experiences, with failure, but I wanted to be an aerospace engineer, so I never really thought that I shouldn't be that. So I've always been good at math and science. I decided to go to aerospace engineer already when I was 13, at the beginning of what we call high school, the superiori, il liceo, as we say in Italy. So I knew that I wanted to go to engineer, I wanted to study engineer, and I knew that I could do. I didn't really, at that time, I probably didn't even think about the fact that I could have been the only girls there. Again, I was used to be the only girls between men, and at university I didn't really have bad experience with my male colleagues. So again, we were the 5 of us. Obviously, we made a group at the beginning because there was only 5 girls, and then we separate our careers. But yeah, you don't have to think. I guess what you don't have to do is don't have. If you want to do something, it doesn't matter if you are the only one, or you need to give. You don't have to give up unless it's something that you don't like it anymore. You realize that it's not for you, and then it's stupid to keep going on. But if you like and you want to do something, you need to keep going.
I may add a bit from my personal experience, because sometimes you don't have the environment. I think we all understood that Luisa had a pretty good environment, for example, at home. So she was supported from the very beginning, but sometimes you just don't have that. It is, I think, good to reach out to literature. Well, I mean audio or like hard copy books that keeps you going, shows you the opportunities, the possibilities. There are many books available in different formats that can help you make different changes and decisions, or keep you going into the direction that you've chosen, even if everyone around say no, you cannot do it. Well, it's one thing that definitely helps me. Maybe it can help someone else too.
There is also a question from Jem Treadwell. What people think are the key blockers to encouraging women in cycling? Cost, safety, maintenance?
Sorry, Florence, do you mind repeating that question?
Yeah, it's just the last one in the chat. I wonder
yep.
what people think are the key blockers to encouraging women in cycling. Is it cost, safety, maintenance, something else?
It's a bit general question. Ladies who would like to answer? Well, if you don't mind, I can do it because I did a lot of thinking about it. Key blockers. I think what Michelle mentioned is the thinking that it's hard, that it's for men, that it comes with a lot of pain and only sweat and tears. This is one. The other, I think, the lack of experience with basic mechanics, because women are, I think, afraid of riding solo in case if something happens, if they get the puncture or the chain breaks or whatever. So this is about educating women of those basics to feel, to make them feel strong and confident to go outside and ride solo, because as Luisa mentioned, it's not always easy to find a female partner for rides, and often when women start riding, they are much weaker than, for example, their riding boyfriend or husband. So this is also an issue. And when they ride with men, it is often really hard and painful and full of sweat and tears, and they get discouraged. I didn't. Like Luisa, I was riding with guys because I was stubborn and I wanted to prove myself. But it doesn't work for everyone like that. So it is good to educate women about the basics, and of course it is good to give support in both areas, in the way they think, in changing the way they think, that cycling is for women also. Cycling is for everyone, no matter the age, no matter the gender, no matter the weight, the color, the whatever. it's for everyone. Technical skills and of course, if we take the other areas of cycling, we also need to understand that this is the world for everyone. If it comes to cycling regulation from the government, when it comes to cycling industry, when it comes to engineering, designing, etc. So I think it is about talking and talking and talking and teaching of the new way, of a different way of thinking, and teaching basic skills.
Yeah. Just to finish off, is there anything exciting that you can tell us about what's happening with wheels that maybe we, you know, the next big thing, what's happening? Yeah. Tires that don't go flat, maybe?
Well, I cannot really tell that much, obviously, because it's like, it's always, what I can say is everything I've been doing, and most of my colleagues would confirm to say everything is exciting for us, you know. We all believe in what we do work on, you know, so obviously my colleagues at other company would say the same, but so it's always, you know, it's exciting when you have passion for what you do, and that's the beauty in the cycling industry. You can combine your passion for and your work, and everything is always like it's simple. It's much more simple and fun and easy if you can do that. So in the end, I'm lucky with that. You know, I started to work in a sector which I thought I liked, and it turned not to be as I thought, and I end up by accident to be in a completely different working environment, and I am lucky now because, you know, being someone who can have the opportunity of riding what I've been working and designing and testing, and having world champions, you know, to be testing and riding your stuff. It's cool. And that's something, yeah, I feel lucky for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I think Katya and I are very keen to, and obviously with Florence and Lee, Women in Cycling, we're keen to hear from people now about where do we go from here going forward. We've kicked off with an amazing speaker and expert in women's in cycling in general, and we're very lucky to have had this time with Luisa and this chat, and hope everyone's enjoyed their coffee. It's a bit too late for me to have coffee, but I think going forward, we'd love to hear from people, ideas, experts. Nominate yourself if you think you're the one. And especially, I think there's a lot of interest in active travel and infrastructure, and there's some amazing women out there doing incredible things in that space. So please send us all your ideas, and Florence is keen for us to have another Meet the Experts, I think. So.
Oh, well, I think we still have one person who wanted to share with us. So Florence, can we do that?
Yes, if it's okay to use a few minutes. So Marge, if you still want to share your story, I think you can unmute yourself.
Hi, sorry I missed the other call out. I was trying to do a little bit of work at the same time. It's been great listening to everybody. I shared a message in the chat just in case anybody missed it about Rafa, the cycling apparel brand, and how we've changed over the past 2 years from, I think, maybe 20% female employees in the head office to 50% this year, which is amazing. We're still struggling to find female staff members in the clubhouses or in our stores. if you don't know what a clubhouse is. So regionally, we're still struggling a bit and figuring out how to recruit and how to position certain positions in the way that women feel obliged to apply. We've changed a lot of our language to, I think we used to always start all our job specs with, or include in our job specs for Rafa, that you need to have a passion for cycling or road cycling even specifically, and it was very based on that road cycling culture. And even though that's close to the to what we're about and everything else, we have changed that language, I think, a little bit, which has opened up a lot of our vacancies to women that wouldn't necessarily feel like they are a cyclist or have a particular passion for the sport of cycling. We've changed our mission recently at Rafa to instead of making cycling the most popular sport in the world, which was amazing, but will we ever achieve it? Not sure, with football and everything, but we've changed it to living life by bike, and we want to inspire people to live life by bike. And even that kind of language change, I think, is way more inclusive than only focusing on the sport of road cycling. And I've seen that shift in our culture in the office. So many meetings that I have now. So I work for the clubhouses and work closely together with customer services and marketing and everything in terms of our departments. And I think maybe I'd say 7 out of 10 meetings right now where the men are outnumbered is more women in the meetings, which is great. We've had so many athletes coming in to do special talks too. And I know that Magali Rochette recently did a podcast on how not menopause, we've done menopause talks in the office, even how menstruation might influence your cycling performance. And after that, even a few guys on some of the calls that we had on our meetings were like trying to start a conversation about menstruation and just being totally like, oh yeah, I feel like I understand things, like let's talk about this. And you can
their cycle synced.
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting. I think just generally with the focus on inclusivity and opening up that forum of also with some of our non-binary employees and everything, and having that spotlight right now on inclusivity really has I think opened up the platform within our company internally too, to be like, I think we need a menopause conversation over the next few days. Like people can attend if they want to, or oh, we're having some mechanics training, who wants to attend? And it's not specifically for women, but just in general. Yeah, I thought I'd share that. If anybody wants to ask a question or mention anything, please feel free.
I think it's a really, sorry. I think it's a really great approach. Well, you definitely build an environment that doesn't divide men and women. And it is also very important to educate also about things like menstruation and menopause, because I think the society, even women, lack education about in this topic. And it leads to misunderstanding, miscommunications, and there is nothing to be ashamed of. It is just a natural thing, like anything else. So it's good that you talk about it and you educate people about it. It's really healthy, I think.
And I've just got to say, Marge, your Sydney clubhouse or shop I was in recently, and I was the first person who approached me was a female assistant, and she knew everything about bikes and cycling and mechanics and clothing, and she was amazing. And we talked about the Rafa Women's 100, which is quite big here in Australia. And yeah, I've just always had great experience with it. So well done, and keep pushing forward. That's great.
Great, thank you. That's so good to hear. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. It's amazing how many people are here today, and I see men among us, and it's awesome because we really appreciate your support and you being here with us. Just like Michelle said, we encourage you to send us questions, ideas, and maybe if someone would like to become a speaker in the next event, please also feel welcome to apply. We will be wrapping up. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day or night, depends on a time zone, and see you next time. I think that soon we will work out our agenda for next month, and we will try to make it probably a monthly event. So keep posted, join us on LinkedIn, and have a lovely time of day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thanks, Luisa, so much. And we look forward to seeing that cyclist on the moon. Maybe it'll be you.
Would be great. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Florence.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye. Have a lovely day.